Nerdrotic.com.
So what do you want to talk about first, Gary?
Indiana Jones flopping. That would be my number one thing to talk about.
Wait a minute. How can Indiana Jones flop when this is Kathleen Kennedy's passion project, right? So this was she's the greatest producer in Hollywood history. She's the only reason Jurassic Park was good, Gary. She's the only reason any film that she's ever been attached to is good. Because wait, never mind. That's right. That's just a made up fucking lie from all these Lucasfilm simps. Yeah, I mean, the fact that this is going to flop is not surprising to anyone that's been paying attention. And this could be one of the biggest flops of all time. I mean, I'm not saying it will, but it has a potential considering how much money they have put into this movie, the reshoots, the delays. Where are we up to now, budget wise, Odin or Ryan? Where are we at on this movie?
Last I heard was around 300 million, but
it's reported at that, but it's expected much higher. Yeah. But it's reported like 294. And the thing is, so at that budget, even just taking that at face value, this is still a movie that needs to make more than Kingdom of the Crystal Skull just to break even. Crystal Skull did about $786 million worldwide. This is a movie that, in all likelihood, needs to be somewhere around 850, maybe even 900 to break even.
800 to $1 billion, yeah.
And and right now, the projected opening weekend is $60 to $70 million. By the way, in 2008, Kingdom of the Crystal Skull opened at $100 million opening weekend.
Yep.
So, like, this is like worst case scenario, a movie that could lose hundreds of millions of dollars for Disney and for Lucasfilm.
Yeah. Well, this explains a lot of things. For one, I wouldn't put it past estimates to be floated out there so they could pass them and make it look better
they
than
make
it is.
80 million. They're like, we outdid our projections.
Box Office Pro doesn't have it higher. So they have it, I think, around 70 to 100. Yeah.
So, but that has gone down.
Absolutely.
It's not like Phoebe Waller-Bridge is like box office gold or something. No. And he got a track record. But another interesting thing, just this morning, I got invited to the Indiana Jones, The Dial of Destiny, all media screening. Okay, now the all media screening is everyone, and it's next Wednesday, more than 2 weeks before the film opens. This is what it tells me is they may be desperate at this point because last we checked the Rotten Tomato score, it was rotten. Right?
Yeah. It's right around 50. And it's worse on Top Critics.
It's worse. Okay,
it gets worse. It's 50 to 40% Top Critics.
Them bringing in this sort of. They're just basically saying every critic now come please see the movie more than 2 weeks before because they want to
give us that praise.
Score. Yeah, because they know that a lot of the critics in that group, in that broad media group, they're on the shill side, and they're going to watch that Rotten Tomatoes score.
Hey, Campia,
go up. So exactly. So it's going to go up next week because of that broad range of critics, but. I'll tell you what I think next week. So,
and the review,
you think it's going to hit like what 60%? What's the highest?
It'll get more than 60%. My guess is when they bring
300 random like people that have like a little blog that no one knows what the fuck it is.
Right.
Like these creators that have like 100 subscribers on YouTube, but are like Rotten Tomatoes critics,
and they really want to be invited next time.
Well, they have. First of all, I'm shocked I was invited, but it's this sort of critics they know they can count on, right? It's that group. That kind of offsets. I actually do trust the critics that end up going to get to Cannes, right? They get to see that stuff and they're the quote top critics. But if the critic score is that low, what are audiences going to think? I don't know. I don't think audiences are very excited based on those projections.
No. The thing is, it would be one thing if the critics were very mad on it and all their criticisms were like, I really didn't like the toxic masculinity, having a strong male hero like this, it just seems so 1980s. But no, the critics are saying exactly the same thing we've been worried about. Nobody wants to watch an old washed up Indiana Jones be led around by some obnoxious woke woman. That's what the reviews are saying.
I know.
So it's like saying what we're worried about. And that tells you how badly they misread the situation. For Kathleen Kennedy and Bob Iger to go out there, I know a lot of people thought that they leaked these embarrassing things about Kathleen Kennedy the same day as she was at Cannes Film Fest. Bob Iger was also there with her at the time. Yes. It was an embarrassment for him too. So please stop pretending that bullshit happened. Yeah. But anyway, the reason that they premiered it there, the reason they lifted the review embargo a month and a half before it came out is because they thought the critics would like it. You don't do that if you can bank on that. Yeah. And it was a complete and total disaster.
Because it's insane. Usually it's like the week before or even days before that they release and have that.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of weird that they did that, but that makes sense.
They thought it was going to be good.
Yeah.
Because then you have 45 days of people talking well about it. Oh, it's 80% on Rotten Tomatoes. Looks like everybody likes this. Instead, it's like, wow, not even these people liked it.
They learned nothing from Solo at this point. They should not have Phoebe Waller-Bridge involved with that shit.
Hubris.
She fucking ruins everything.
So basically, new box office projections, according to a lot of Hollywood estimates, are saying, 60 to 70 million. This specific Deadline article casts into doubt the 70 million.
I can read it
because when you look at
it's large enough.
I'm stoked about that.
Some are saying that $70 million start for Dial of Dysentery. That's quite a stretch. Realize that it's John Wick Chapter 4 opened to 73.8 million with double the tracking metrics that Dial of Dysentery is showing right here, or Indiana Jones and the Insufferable Feminist. And also, we do need to point out that John Wick was made for a lot less money.
Yep.
I mean,
100 million.
Important part.
Yeah,
95 million. I think.
It is profitability.
Yeah.
So the 300 million that it's more. It's more. It's way more. And it's not the most expensive movie ever made because they're lying about Flash. But I just had to get that.
Also, Avatar 2. I mean, let's be honest.
We don't even know. We don't even know what that one. Disney will need to pick up the slack in the coming weeks in their marketing to get more interest from younger guys. Oh, you mean they actually want males to go see their movie?
No, they don't.
No, they don't.
Phoebe Waller-Bridge is going to really help out with that.
Yeah, that's going to get him in there.
Because the beginning.
Hey, look at this horsewoman with a fucking mole on her head. That's sexy.
The beginning of the article, they talk about how the metrics are skewing extremely old. And it's not a surprise for Indiana Jones. What a shock that that's your fucking core audience. And you decided to do everything you can to say fuck off to them.
Right.
So that's still like your core audience, but you haven't drawn anybody else in because they always make this mistake.
Yep.
Yeah. At tracking significantly with older guys over younger.
Yeah. So
YouTubers.
Well, they. I was going to say the younger guy demographic is getting smaller every day, at least according to TikTok.
Because Disney keep kidnapping them.
Well,
I thought it was going to be because of trans people.
That's what I was saying. That's what I was saying.
Trans joke.
Yeah, it's a shrinking audience or one that's being cut off.
They were
Elliot Page.
Hey.
Their distraction now being Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse in theaters and the upcoming Warner Brothers The Flash. Spider-Man's going to be talked about more in The Flash. I know it's Eric's favorite movie. Miles Morales 2. However, that hard wow.
Hang on, Gary. What's hard?
That hard word of mouth. You need it hard. Okay.
Wow.
Fucking Hollywood says that shit. Out of Cannes is quite the hurdle. Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, which wasn't as beloved by many because it sucked, settled at 77% certified fresh and a B cinema score versus the previous 1989 installment, Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, which
so good.
4% certified. That is so fucking low for that movie. What was one? Oh yeah, critics were a little more honest back then.
Yeah.
Certified fresh from critics and a solid A cinema score with the Dial of Dysentery at a $60 million 3-day. And this is, by the way, reminder, this is Deadline. This is Deadline.
Gary, can you remember one of the criticisms of the Burning Crusade? Because I can.
The Last Crusade?
It was too junky.
You mean The Last Crusade?
The Last Crusade, yeah.
Burning Crusade. The Burning.
That's something else.
That's an STD. That's an STD.
The Burning Crusade happens after you sleep with Phoebe
Okay, I'll tell you the criticism. That was good. I'm so proud of you. Since I'm the oldest person here, and I was really high that year, but I remember what the criticisms were. Sean Connery played too docile, too I guess the modern term would be beta. They thought he'd be a little more fucking alpha male, a little more badass, but he played an academic, and that did bother some people. The 900-year-old knight showing up was a little too much for some people.
Well, the one I remember is.
Wait, I'm not done.
Okay.
All
right.
My biggest criticism is Brody. Brody was played like a fucking idiot, which he wasn't. So that was my criticism. And all these early screenings can, like with Flash and Indiana Jones, can hurt films. Remember, I don't know if you guys remember the lead up to Serenity. Serenity was a year of promotion and a year of fan screenings, and it fucking completely killed the opening weekend because everybody had seen it by the time the opening weekend, and it was
everyone was going back to watch Firefly. It was playing on TV all the time.
Flop.
Yeah,
it flopped.
Yeah.
So these things can really hurt. I was talking to Chris earlier. I think with Indiana this supposed Indiana Jones film coming out on Wednesday, I think it's just they committed to doing it. And they can't change it now. Yeah. And they just thought it was going to be a hit.
But I think it's a desperate attempt to like boost the Rotten Tomatoes critic score because it's so bad right now. Anyone looking to buy tickets for Indiana Jones, advanced tickets, is looking at that score and looking at the reviews. Or if you know everything about the movie, we pretty much know everything that happens. Right. And it's, I don't know, it depends. Who reported that rumor? Is it one we should take seriously or not?
Well, considering it actually originated on Reddit, where some of those other rumors came from, I think we can trust it.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. So if it's that, it sounds awful. It sounds effing awful. Who thought that a woman who has never, I mean, like, really, there are box office values to people. The Cannes Film Market, Cannes Film Festival just, happened. Right. And like, there are people who are global hits who like here are nobodies. It's crazy. It's weird how that whole industry functions, where a star meter thing like that means something. What is Phoebe Waller-Bridges? She had an Amazon show that was popular, but what has she done?
Won a couple of awards,
right.
And she was a woman, and they're like a woman who can write.
And she's a franchise killer.
Yeah, she's
a franchise killer. Solo, she was the most obnoxious, shitty thing in Solo, and that film was crap. And had shitloads of obnoxious, shitty things in it. She then goes and becomes the script editor for the last James Bond film, the worst performing James Bond film of the whole of Daniel Craig's tenure.
But that's not true. That's not true. It made like 800 million globally, right?
Quantum of
seven something million, I think 700 and something million.
Save that movie.
Yeah,
but on the positive,
James Bond.
Yeah,
on the positive side for Solo.
And then Lord of the Rings. Not Lord of the Rings.
Normalized fucking robots. So that's maybe a positive result of that.
I don't know if that's possible.
Sorry, we keep getting that Star Wars is for kids, right? If Star Wars is for kids, what is this message about fucking robots?
Thank you.
Exactly.
They're teaching children to fuck robots.
To answer your question, it was Disney's film for kids.
Yeah.
I think it's for kids.
Yeah. And now Indiana Jones, she's not an attractive woman.
No.
She's certainly not a good script editor in terms of making something watchable and likable, because that fucking last Bond film was atrocious. And he was an absolute fucking cuck throughout the course of it. It lost everything, lost all of his edge, everything. And then he just decides to fucking give up at the end. Fuck off. And then this, she's going to lead one of the greatest fucking cinema characters of all time around, because he's 80 years old. We didn't want to see an 80-year-old Indiana Jones. Never mind an 80-year-old Indiana Jones that's going to be led around by some 1960s intersectional fucking feminist. Fuck her. She's a franchise killer. Yeah. You want your franchise dead? Hire Phoebe Waller-Bridge. She'll do it for you.
Lucasfilm, right? She is the Lucasfilm, playgirl, basically.
I want to see Joe Biden as Indiana Jones. It's like funny. Indiana Jones in the rogue sandbag, right?
Indiana Jones and the Temple of Dementia.
Indiana Jones and the stair lift of doom.
I don't know. I think Trump as Indiana Jones would be far more entertaining.
Yeah. So it's fucked. Do you think it's really going to do 60 million over 3 days?
It's hard to say.
I think it'll probably end up like 70 or 75. Yeah. It is kind of, since it's releasing on June 30th, it's kind of a longish holiday because it was 4th of July on Tuesday. So like there could be some pretty high numbers for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, depending on like people work. But overall, I don't think this movie has a chance to do Kingdom of the Crystal Skull numbers, which would be around 800 million. And I don't think it has a chance to fucking break even.
Yeah. I mean, also the fact that it's starting off at 60, even if it does better would be what, 80 million,
right?
It's like that's 20 million more than what you thought. On paper, that sounds great. But then when you actually look at that compared to all the other films and other big box office hits more recently, yeah, it's awful. It's terrible.
Yeah. And they'll spin it every way, but like, let's be real. It need to make like 140 million over 3 days at the $300 million budget. And it's an Indiana Jones film. It should.
Yeah.
It just fucking should.
Yeah. Nerdrotic.com. Please subscribe.
Hey, if you like what we do here at Nerdrotic Daily, please like, share, and subscribe. And if you could do that with your favorite YouTuber as well, I'm sure they would appreciate it as much as I do.